to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P-Bush. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Got a short week this week. Shout out Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., man, giving us a day off and for all he did as well. So enjoying the short week. Kind of a rough weekend for football. A lot of blowouts there. It's just kind of a boring week to watch, man. Sean and I were talking about that pre-production, but other than that, life's good, man. Life's good.
It's beautiful, man. Sports betting in New York has been beautiful. Shout out to DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesar Sportsbook, FanDuel Sportsbook. They all got free bets, baby. They all got free bets, man. They all competing for the New York hearts of sports gamblers, and it's been beautiful, man. It's been beautiful. They've been giving out hundreds of dollars of free betting, so that's been so fun. So fun, man. Cash out immediately, man.
Yeah, I would like to tell everybody that is watching this to bet responsibly.
Yes.
Some people don't have as much luck as maybe Zoo.
Yeah,
but
no, it's not luck, man. There's if the Knicks score 1 point, double your money. I'm like, thank you very much.
they're trying to get your money in accounts so that you end up staying with their app, man. That's what they're going for. Yeah. Stay safe out there.
They're trying to finesse, but I'm gonna finesse the finesser, man. That's what I'm gonna finesse the finesser.
Yeah. A lot of things with sports betting, especially with the playoffs and all that. The divisional rounds with the NFL is something a lot of people do. So we're going to get into it. You know, wild card weekend was lackluster, to say the least. So I think the divisional round games are going to be something we're going to be keeping our eyes on. A lot of cool matchups, a lot of potential future matchups that could come from these divisional round games. So I'm going to ask the fellas. We're going to kind of talk about wild card weekend a little bit and also go to the divisional round. So, P-Bush, I'm going to start with you. What was your thoughts on, I guess, this past weekend's games?
I mean, it was just, like I said, man, a lot of blowouts. I mean, you got the Bills, just absolute statement win. Sean, I think you hit the nail on the head pre-production. You were, that was really a statement about that division. The Bills want to fortify that, hey, we're kind of the kings now, and if you want this division, you got to dethrone us. They made Mac Jones pretty much try to win the game. Yeah. They did not allow the rushing attack that they allowed in that snow game earlier this regular season when they gave up 200 against the Pats. So, I thought that was a big statement win for the Bills. Not a great game, but definitely, a big win and confidence booster going against the Chiefs next weekend, which I think is going to be a hell of a game. But I also did like some things, I guess the Bengals-Raiders game. For a second there, I thought Derek was going to be able to pull that off, tie the game up, and somehow force overtime. But shout out, I think his name's Rich Biscotti, man, interim head coach. I think he hand wrote letters to every player thanking him. So, I think he should be in consideration for the head coaching job, man. He steered that ship along with Derek Carr through, the entirety of the tumultuous year for that team. With Ruggs and the whole Gruden situation, and brought them to 10-7 in the playoffs. First time they've been in there since I think 2016. And Derek didn't get to play. So Bengals did show out and get the win. I do think they need to use Mixon a lot more next week. I think that'll be the key for them because he did not have a big game. So those are kind of my two big takeaways. Other than that, I'll let Zoo get into the Niners game if he wants to, but other than that, it was kind of just blowout weekend.
Oh, yeah. As I predicted, baby, the upset Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Too obvious, man. I feel as though those upsets, like all the other games, I'm like, we talked about Tampa Bay. I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
Sean, your Eagles, man, that game wasn't even a game. I got so
once
bored,
the punter, I think, had a 25-yard punt after the first
twice.
I was like, yeah, it's over.
Yeah, I'm just like Jalen Hurts, man. The dude looked like a deer in headlights, man. That game was an embarrassment to football. Like, the game was so boring. But that 49ers team, man, they're legit. They're legit. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo is the ultimate wild card because when that guy throws picks, they lose. They're 6-5 when he throws a pick. When he doesn't throw an interception, undefeated. So that's the key to the game. Jimmy Garoppolo, man, his ability to control the ball and not giving it to the opponent because obviously they could dominate possession with the rushing attack. Obviously, shout out to Deebo Samuel, 20.5 over for rushing yards. Thank you for doubling my money, Deebo Samuel.
That's easy money right there.
Oh, yeah. It was a super boost. It was a super boost bet. So shout out to the DraftKings for that, man. But Deebo Samuels, Elijah Mitchell, man, both those guys both got rushing touchdowns and the ability to control the pace of the game. And just hoping Jimmy G doesn't mess up. He almost did mess up, though.
He did throw one pick.
No, he threw a pick in that 4th and 1. What was he doing, man? Man, they had to punt it back, and Dak Prescott almost came back and got an opportunity to tie up the game, but but that accident, man, waiting to happen, running on that with no time left there.
I didn't like that call.
Could not believe it.
Couldn't even get a pass off to have just gives you some hope, man. The game just ends with him running the ball and running out of time, man. Fitting end for a team that's just lucky to be in such a bad division, man. Because every year you're in that division, if you're halfway decent, you're going to make the playoffs, and then they get exposed by a 49ers team, which is clicking at the right moment right now. But
yeah,
like not going to lie, as a Packers fan, I'm pretty scared of the 49ers because Aaron Rodgers has a history of losing to this team. The Colin Kaepernick days, and even the Jimmy G days when he made it to the Super Bowl. So multiple versions of this 49ers team has beaten Aaron Rodgers. So I'm not taking this team too lightly. Like right now it's 5.5. I'm like, it's going to be close, man. I will not be shocked if the Packers lose next round because this 49ers team, man, just dominated the Dallas Cowboys. Like the score is 23-17. It wasn't that close at all. Like it was a complete blowout pretty much the entire game until fourth quarter. Dak Prescott does what Dak Prescott does, get those garbage yards, man. Every time in garbage time, he starts chucking that, man. He gets those passing yards. But, man, Dallas, embarrassing. Not even winning a playoff game after having all that talent. 12-5, overachieving based on projections this year of having 12 wins. But, like you said, man, outside of that, man, Kansas City versus Steelers, everybody knew the results of that game. Even after that pick six. I'm like, man, they fine.
Yeah.
Man, they fine. Like, they spotted them 7 points and they doubled them up, man. 42-21. Like they doubled them up and they got a pick six. So, man, the Steelers are a joke. Eagles are a joke. Patriots, oh my Lord. I thought that game was going to be a lot more competitive.
I feel like that's the worst beatdown.
Shout out to Josh Allen to hitting it over on 199.5 yards in the dub, man. Shout out to Josh Allen, man. $75, man. Thank you, Josh Allen. But, man, the Buffalo Bills boys, man, Kansas City, woo!
It's going to be a hell of a game.
Dude, like, they put up an offensive, like, perfection. 47 points, like 7 total touchdowns.
Yep. Singletary had 2 and Josh threw for 5.
That is ridiculous.
Yep.
7 total
against
touchdowns.
A good defense.
Against a good defense in the cold weather. Like, that did not look fun to play in.
No.
Like, that weather looked like ass. Yeah, I'm just like, man, the guy threw 300 yards in bad weather, and he looked like a man amongst beast. He looks like a beast amongst men right now. But shout out to Josh Allen. He'll have an ultimate challenge against Mahomes next week, which I am looking forward to.
That's going to be another matchup.
I'm looking forward to it. And shout out to the Raiders. Cinderella story. And you know my story about Cinderella, man. That's only in Disney Tales, man. That fairy tale ending, man, was going to crash and burn because they are just lucky to be in the playoffs, man. They lucky. Yeah. They lucky. Shout out to Joe Burrows, man.
Tough on the Cardinals, man, too. We didn't even mention
they really needed Hopkins.
That was honestly one of the more embarrassing performances. I mean, AJ Green did absolutely nothing for them.
They could not pick six.
They couldn't get their running
Wentz,
game.
Man. He pulled a Carson Wentz.
He just had it was honestly, besides I think Josh, Burrow had a nice game. I think Josh obviously carried the quarterback class, but Stafford played nearly a perfect game. They only asked him to throw 17 times.
Yeah, he didn't have to do much though.
He threw for 200. The biggest thing is I thought he had a couple big runs, and I think with his age, his ability to still get you 8 if necessary, and is willing to take a little bit of a hit, not necessarily just Tom Brady slide at 5 yards before a defender's coming at you. That's just something big to have. I also like that they got Cam Akers back. He looked nice, especially in the receiving game. That beautiful trick play by OBJ to Cam Akers. Definitely boosted the help in fantasy with Odell throwing that pass, man. Shout out to him. Also got his first touchdown of his playoff career in his first playoff game. I think that might be his first playoff game. But yeah, and shout out to Stafford for getting his first win, man. Long time coming.
Yeah, Stafford's been, the subject of a lot of criticism in Detroit, not being able to get them over the hump. And then with the Rams somewhat, had a little bit of a lull. People were kind of wondering, hey, is he better than Jared Goff? I think in his first playoff game. Or this playoff game with the Rams, it kind of made it cemented that they made the right decision with going with him. So, the Rams are interesting because you brought up Cam, and, I was on I guess you could say, side where it's like he's coming back too early. Like, why risk it? Like, just come back fully healthy. But after watching him at maybe the first 2 or 3 plays when he was in, he looked completely healthy and he looked explosive. And what's going to be interesting is if he really is that and can carry more of the load. They already have other running backs too, and Sonny Michel looked good as well. That could really shift their dynamic in terms of who they are as a team. And if they can run the ball and have that aspect with 2 backs that bring 2 different skill sets, that can make them really dangerous, because you already saw Odell taking the next step and becoming a really solid number 2 to Cooper Kupp. So that's only going to make their offense even more explosive. And, with their defense, it's been up and down this year, but they do have the talent. They do have the stars to get it done. Von Miller can make plays. Leonard Floyd, another guy that can make plays. Jalen Ramsey, is going to lock down number 1 receiver. So it will be interesting to see how it goes with, I guess, if the Packers do take care of the 49ers and they get into a conference championship situation, and it's maybe like the Rams versus the Packers or whatever. I know that's a little far-sighted, but I could see that being super interesting with that matchup in particular, because Green Bay has Devontae, and I know Devontae can get open on Ramsey, but it's not a guarantee when you're playing in the playoffs and it's bigger and higher stakes. So they're a team I'm probably the most interested in coming from Wild Card Weekend. Eagles pick was a disaster. I didn't really care. Didn't really care for the Bills or Patriots. There wasn't really any other games I was like, I could see this team doing something. I'm more interested in the divisional round games. I am not, and they haven't played a game yet. I just do not like Tennessee, and I think part of it's because my bias. I just don't want them to go to the Super Bowl. I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl.
Do you know why, John? Sean?
Go ahead.
They lost to the Jets. That's why you don't like them.
Damn near.
Yeah. And Derrick Henry is coming off an injury, and they're saying he's fully healthy, but I got to see it. I got to see him get out there and run and do what he does.
I don't think I need to see him. I really don't. I think he's one of the only players. I mean, I know you could say the same thing about like a McCaffrey, right?
Yeah.
But I don't see Derrick Henry, getting extremely injured, in a serious note right after coming off another one. Now, obviously, probably now that I said that, it's going to happen. But that is the swing in the game. I think if you're picking between the Bengals and Titans, it's all dependent if Derrick Henry's playing, because Josh Jacobs, against the Bengals, I mean, he was breaking off some nice runs against them, 8, 10, 12-yard chunks. Obviously, they kind of had to get away from him and utilize their receivers more since they were down. But if that's what he can do, and no shame on Josh Jacobs at all, he's a great running back. But if Derrick Henry's in that game, my God, the Bengals are going to have a problem on their hands like every other team has to deal with when they play the Titans. So for me, that game, it's hard for me to even say right now, just because I don't think we'll know until Friday if he's playing or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I think Derrick Henry is the linchpin to that offense, even though they miraculously was able to get the number 1 seed without him. He was only there half the season, which is a credit to Mike Vrabel. I think he's one of the more underrated coaches, because even though he wasn't, I think necessarily a Belichick, like he was like a Belichick coach. He was like under his wing.
Did he play for him?
Yeah, he played for him, but I don't think he was like actually a coach under him. I may be wrong with that. But Belichick's assistants have kind of had this ongoing thing now of like they haven't been really good in the league. So it's pretty cool to see that he's one of the guys that played under Belichick is actually doing a really good job with that. And Derrick Henry is a big part of that. So, Cincinnati, like you say, with the Raiders, they took care of business with them. I'm really hyped about their future. Just seeing all the skill talent they got and the upcoming drafts and things like that. So, in this game, it would be pretty shocking if they won it, pending on Derrick Henry being there. If Derrick Henry's not there and he can't go, then it could go either way, because Joe Burrow has showed like he's a gamer, man. He ain't caring nothing about like, I'm a young guy. I broke my leg in half last year. I'm just gonna go out there. No, I'm Joe Cool and I'm going to go play. So it's going to be a situation in that game that if Derrick Henry doesn't play, I can see Cincinnati making it a really tough out for Tennessee. And like I said, I just think I'm very partial because I just do not want to see it. Because my worst nightmare is Titans, Bills in the AFC. Like, I just don't want to see that. I want to see the true gunslingers going out there doing what they need to do. And shifting gears, I want to get to Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is a big playoff stretch for him. He has to get to the Super Bowl. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like, I do not want to see a situation where it's the fourth quarter in a divisional round game and it's Packers 24, 49ers 32. Like, no, you need to dominate. I want to, because what I'm gearing up for now, since my Eagles pick is gone, I really want to see Mahomes and Rodgers. I don't want to see Brady in there again. I love Brady. He's the GOAT. But I'm tired of seeing him in the Super Bowl. I want to see a different type of scenario. And to me, this is just my bias, I want to see Mahomes and Rodgers go against each other. Because I think, I don't know. I think they do State Farm ads together, kind of. Yep. So they're aware of each other. And I think Aaron looks at Patrick probably like, has this mutual respect. And I think it's recuperated with Mahomes. So I want to see that selfishly. I want to see that in the Super Bowl. So I need these guys to take care of business. I don't need the Green Bay defense that's been doing really good all year just all of a sudden give up 45 points because they just want to do that, because that tends to happen in the playoffs. Like you said, they've gotten, for the most part, I'm not sure if Jair is even playing, but they've gotten healthy for the most part on that side of the ball. So that's what I'm looking for. So I need the Packers to take care of business against the 49ers, and I need Mahomes to do what he needs to do against the Bills so we can make another step to them getting to the Super Bowl. That's just me.
I mean, you got to have that matchup. And Zoo, I do want to ask you about this because you are the Packers fan. I'll put that in quotes of this podcast. The only thing for me is and you were saying this earlier, that you're a little nervous, right, about the Niners and the Packers. If they can't get their running game going, I mean, I'm sure they will, because the Packers' run defense, watching them play the Bears, David Montgomery had a couple big games against them, right? And now they got to go up against Mitchell and Debo. I mean, if they can't get those two going, I think what the Niners have to do is get Kittle going, because they have not been targeting him much over the past 5 weeks.
Nothing, man.
So
I don't know if he's still hurt or what's going on.
Yeah, so I have no clue. I mean, do you think that the Packers have a chance of stopping that running game and forcing Jimmy G to use, Ayuk and Kittle more so than relying on Debo and Mitchell? Do you think they have a shot?
No, I don't believe in the Packers run defense, man. I don't believe in it
either.
I don't believe in it, man. At all. Like they were actually pretty decent this year, but man, every time I see this Packers defense in the playoffs, they just give up 30 points. Like, every time, man. It's just every
Even
time
the Cowboys.
Every time Rodgers plays in the playoffs, like, man, 30 plus points. Every time he loses, man. So like I don't really believe in it. I need a virtuoso performance from Aaron Rodgers. It's gonna be tough with Jalen Ramsey guarding Devontae Adams, his favorite target. So, like, he might have to utilize, or actually, no, he's not playing Jalen Ramsey. He's not. Oh, it was
Niners still have a decent secondary.
They have a decent secondary, but man, Devontae Adams, man, he's going to be the key. Like, I feel like as a reliability safety blanket, man, he's going to want to chuck it to him and give him like 10 plus targets for comfort. Because I don't believe in Marquez Valdez-Scantling at all. No. Lazar is actually pretty decent. He's actually pretty decent. He's grown on me this year, man. Lazar's grown on me this year. Aaron Jones as a receiver, I need them to use him as a receiver, and AJ Dillon as a runner.
I would use him as the main.
That dude is effective, man. As a grinder, man. When the defense gets tired, man, put in AJ Dillon, keep running the ball, control the pace of the game, because man, they have a hell of a challenge against my man Debo Samuels, man. This dude is
Army
scary. Dude, it is scary how good he is, man.
He's a better version of Cordero and more consistent. That's really what he is.
My God, Debo Samuels.
I mean, the other thing is like Nick Bosa got hurt, right, in the last game. Fred Warner got hurt in the last game. I'm not sure their statuses. I think Bosa's expected to possibly play this weekend. But if he gets another hit to the head, man, in any way, shape, or form, he's going to have to go back into protocol. I mean, that right there is definitely a weight lifted off Rodgers' shoulders if he doesn't play, just because, they do have Bakhtiari back, which is big, right? I think he started in the last week of the season, to kind of get his legs underneath himself. That's another big key I think that they have. If Alexander's playing, not sure of his status at this point. I think the Packers are at their healthiest right now, and that's all they needed going into this. They're pretty much going to need to put on a show. But this Niners, man, they're the hot team right now. Packers had to buy little time to slow down. I got the 49ers upsetting the Packers, dude. I got them winning by 3. I had to say it, man.
Yeah, I can't go that far. I it's going to be a close game. I just can't pick
it. It is in Lambeau. That's the only thing that scares me.
That's the only reason why I'm picking the Packers, because it's in Lambeau.
Yeah.
Because the game is...
They better win, because they're getting healthy right now.
Yeah.
They're getting healthy right now. Like, Packers pretty much all year have been unhealthy. Like their O-line's been completely damaged. And right now they got a bye week. All their guys are getting healthier. Offense and defensive players, significant guys coming back. I'm like, Aaron Rodgers' toe getting better. I'm like, man, get it done, man. Don't lose to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, you got to get it
Jimmy
done.
Garoppolo.
10 years.
You better not get outscored by a Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense. Like, this is the year. The Buccaneers are injured. You had the first round bye. With the new rules, only one team gets the bye. You're the lucky team to get the bye. This is your opportunity to get it done. You got to win 2 games to make the Super Bowl. Get it done, Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Get it done.
Just get there. That's my whole
And you
message.
know they were rooting for the Cowboys, too.
Oh, yeah, dude. Aaron Rodgers owns the Cowboys. Boy.
Exactly.
He owns them. He always puts up virtuoso performances against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Man. The Des Bryant catch game and the Mason Crosby 50-yarder for the win, man. My Lord, he put up some memorable games to get the Cowboys, but damn.
So y'all got the
that would have
Packers
been
in this
easy.
one?
I would have put a lot of money on the Packers over the freaking Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
But the 49ers, though?
Sucker
It could be a trap game for them. That's the only thing I'm concerned about is for the Packers.
Matt LaFleur better bring his A game. You better bring his A game.
Yep.
Rodgers,
Because you know Shanahan will.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, it's crazy. If you look at Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and what's called Sean McVay, all former Washington football team staff, man.
Hey, man. It's the best franchise.
Nice.
That's
nugget.
crazy, right? You think of that?
That is
like
crazy.
all those guys in the playoffs,
Well, they all kind of learned under
right?
Kyle's dad, right?
Yeah.
I think they all kind of learned under his dad.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Wild, man. They were all
Maybe Mike Shanahan's the best coach of all time, then.
Yeah. Seriously, that
I
coaching tree, that's wild. That is wild. And
It
they're on the
rivals Andy
playoffs.
Reid's.
Yeah. It's fun.
Their ability to adapt to today's game too has also been helpful, especially Sean McVay. I think his philosophy of like basically giving up every draft pick he owns and getting stars is maybe something you would think a coach would do in the NBA. I think in the NFL he's placed an important. And I think market has a lot to do with it because it's LA, so you got to have something to sell more than just winning football games. So I think all those guys' the ability to, even though with Matt LaFleur, jury will still be out on him because if he gets Jordan Love up to speed, then I'll start giving him credit.
Yeah.
Because having Aaron Rodgers is a huge help. Huge help. Because you see how Mike McCarthy's doing in Dallas without Aaron Rodgers.
And he has a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, he has a pretty good quarterback too. It's not like Dak's trash.
I don't know. Mike McCarthy on the sideline, he looked pretty lost. Remember that
I mean, dude, if your team was getting penalties every 2 minutes, I would be pretty lost.
Self-destructing.
You can't do anything as a coach about that. Like, you can't do anything. That's probably the most frustrating part. That game was penalties. That's what lost them the game.
14 penalties, man.
There you go. League high.
Do you agree with that play, Zoo? That draw at the end? Because I don't.
Dak Prescott slid down like 10 seconds sooner. Like he kept going because when he blew past him, I was like, okay, sit down and maybe get a close.
He went too far.
But then he kept running. I was like, yo, there's like 4 seconds left. Like, get your ass down. Like,
because I mean, they were playing pure sideline defense, right?
Yeah.
So you weren't going to be able to get a throw off.
Dude, the funny part was they didn't play pure sideline defense for the first couple of possessions.
I know.
I was like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
they're getting free first downs, man. And it took like 2 seconds too. So I was just like, man, that 49ers, I was like, man, they choking a little, man. They choking a little.
Yeah. Hey, but they pulled it out in the end.
Man.
Yeah, Dallas is same song, different years. They're becoming, I think, so tiresome too because they get talked about so much in the media, and it's like this year was just a lot of hoopla. Into I think Zooey brought up the point. Their division was so bad that like
6 wins.
they got overinflated,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just to me it's like a roadblock, a mental roadblock with Dallas, and I think to me it has a lot to do with the owner and their whole operation of how they run stuff. So. They're going to be a team in the next couple of years that will probably continue to have really good talent. They're probably going to start looking at backs to maybe replace Zeke, maybe by committee. They're going to always have, I guess, skill talent. And Micah Parsons is a, huge foundational piece on defense. So they're going to be good there. But, until things change, like from top to bottom, not just so much in the coaching staff, but in the ownership group, which it won't, I just won't ever see Dallas being a team that could get over the hump because they just always, like I was telling people in pre-production, I was like, Dallas game, like even though I kind of knew it was going to be a close game, I just knew it was going to be something outside of actual football to happen that gets the storyline, and it had to be Dak running into the ref and the fans going crazy. Like it just always happens in Dallas games. It's like what is it? I think they call it like minstrel show. It's like a minstrel show where it's just like crazy things and just happenings everywhere. Yeah. It just seems like that's part of Dallas's DNA. It's never a clean game. Something the refs, it's just crazy stuff that happens. So, like I said, I'm so glad I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan. I know a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans being from South Carolina, which is insane, but I know a lot, and they were really pissed and blaming the refs, but it happened. So,
hey, man, their entire programs, if anyone's out there likes Eric Andre, man, if you ever watched his show, that's pretty much how the Dallas Cowboys organization runs. Just everywhere and anywhere, and crazy shit's happening. So, yeah, man, they're kind of in the hole right now, but I'm looking at this Rams-Bucks game, man. I think that
what's the
Rams obliteration of the Cardinals
-3
made this upcoming divisional game way more interesting because they had their running game working against the Cardinals, who are a pretty good rush defense, or at least they had been against the Rams in previous regular season meetings this year. Can the Bucs do the same thing? I mean, they did pretty well against the Eagles, obviously, but if they're able to leverage Cam Akers, like I mentioned, in the passing game, and pair that with OBJ and Kupp, I don't see that Bucs secondary being able to handle all of it. Even if Levante David's, I know he played last week, but if he's still okay and he's, able to play the entire game, I still don't see them really stopping this Rams offense and shutting him down. So Brady's going to have to go into a shootout. That's what I think. And can he trust Gronk, Evans, and maybe Fournette? He hinted at maybe being able to play.
Gio Bernard looked viable. I mean, he's not.
That's what I was going to say. They needed to use him earlier on, I think. I thought they relied a little too much on Rojo there towards the end of the season before he got hurt again. Because Gio Bernard is nasty. And I think if Fournette even does come back, they'll still continue to use Bernard. I think it'll just take away a little bit of time from Keyshawn Vaughn. But hey, man, Evans and Gronk really stepped up, even though it was against Philly. That was a positive sign, at least in confidence for Brady going into this Bucs game, because I think that's going to end up being a hell of a game as well.
That probably will be. I think that'll be the best. Yeah, I think that game in particular, because the regular season game was really good when they played. So even though that was in LA, I also think with Tampa Bay, or not Tampa Bay, with the Rams, their offense I think is going to be able to score and do what they do at a decent clip. To me, it's always with Brady. You got to make him uncomfortable, and I know Wirfs got hurt. Now, I'm not sure if it's a high ankle or whatever it is, but I know they said he's like a game time decision. And then their center Jensen got hurt, which I think he may be out. So if you're talking about just across the offensive line, you got Floyd, you got Donald, you got Miller. If they can collapse that pocket, because that's the key to Brady, just collapsing the pocket. And a lot of people think, well, you got to have the ends to rush the passer. I think with Brady, what makes him most uncomfortable is the D tackles that are in his face, because Brady doesn't want to go run outside the pocket. He kind of likes to step in and make the throws because that's how he operates. So with Donald being as explosive as he is, a lot of people are going to be looking at him as he needs to dominate this game if the center is for sure out, because Jensen is a really good I don't know if he's a Pro Bowl type center, but he's a really good center. Because Brady always has a really good offensive line. So, if he can collapse the pocket and make it really uncomfortable for Brady early, that's going to set the tone and give, I think, the Rams on a, path towards winning the game. Because you do have Gronk, who's a security blanket. Evans is becoming now his go-to guy because that's the only guy he has kind of left on the outside. Godwin being hurt and AB being gone, I think, is a huge deal, because that's the type of receiver Brady likes to throw to. He likes the guys who are in that slot in the middle of the field where he can step up, make throws, and just nickel and dime down the field. So if Aaron Donald can really get up in the pocket and bother Brady, that could be a recipe for success, because, like you say, it's -3, so especially pick them. If it's a close game in the fourth quarter, I'm picking Brady. The Rams have to get on top of them. They have to get on top of them.
Yeah,
because if it's a close game, they will crumble.
They need turnovers too.
They need a lot of turnovers. And Ramsey is going to be probably matched up with Evans, so I think Ramsey will probably do the most with that. But even if it's 24-17, Rams going into the fourth. No, they have to be. I think
they have to blow them out.
They have to be 10 points or higher, maybe even 2 touchdowns. because then you can maybe do. Because I'm telling you, Brady, if it gets into the fourth quarter and Brady's only down 7 or maybe even 10 points, he's going to win the game because all the pressure shifts to the Rams. Brady doesn't have any pressure, and I've seen Brady, like we all have, in all fourth quarter situations. He doesn't panic. He could have us out there running routes. He's not panicking.
No.
He's not going to panic. He's going to get his guys. He's going to make some practice squad guy, that the Bucks have, a superstar, hit him on a couple of slants to get a touchdown. Like, that's just how it's going to go. So the Rams have to get on top of them to make this a game because they are the defending Super Bowl champions. So you gotta knock them out. You can't just dabble around, do a couple rounds, and they're still standing because they'll knock you out. So
with that being said, I'm taking the Bucks. I mean, I am.
I don't even know if I'm picking this. That's a tough game. That's probably for me. That's the hardest game to pick.
Really?
To me,
I think Chiefs Bills only because the Bills, I think, along with the Niners, are the 2 hottest teams in the league right now.
I think the Chiefs are gonna do. I think they're gonna be fine with the Bills. It's at home.
The only difference, and I was looking at the game last year, right? Because they matched up in the playoffs last year. I think the Chiefs won by 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
They did not. I mean, Devin Singletary. I know I've said this week on week, man. He had 5 carries in that game for 10 yards. I mean, he's been consistently getting the ball. It's been helping their team. It's been relieving Josh Allen a little bit. Mm-hmm. If they can expose that Chiefs defense both in the passing game and be able to still rely on Singletary, I think it's going to be a much closer game than people think. And they don't have to play in as cold of weather as they did this past weekend in Buffalo. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm picking the Chiefs. I think I'm going to stick with them just because the experience.
Their offense looked so good last week.
They do. And there's really not too much you can do unless you just have Mahomes trying to do too much. Yeah. And I don't think the Bills defense, I think they do have the best pass defense in the league. But
let's see about the O-line though. Let's see if they can get to Mahomes. And you gotta touch Mahomes, man. Yeah, if Mahomes has times to throw, it's
gotta make him run.
It's over. It's over.
Yep.
Gotta make him be a.
That's the only way the Steelers forced the pick 6 too, is they were pressuring him and he had to kind of like throw it and Watt stepped back, tipped it up.
Yeah.
So that one, I think it's going to be. I think that could be that game and the Bucks game. I think will be the 2 higher scoring of the 4.
Man, the line has moved, man, to -1.5. That Chiefs Bills game now.
Wow,
it used to be at 3, 1.5. So a lot of people believe in the Buffalo Bills after that incredible performance against the Patriots. So
that might be easy money for somebody. I think with. As we saw with the Eagles and Patriots, they didn't deserve to probably be in the playoffs. I think a lot of that was those teams just didn't need to be there. And the Bills took full advantage of them, and the Bucks took full advantage of the Eagles. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's indicative of how great those teams are. Now, the Bucks have proven it, so they are a great team, and they did it last year. The Bills are still trying to get there because the Bills if you go do the research on the Bills, who they beaten this year, like, they had a lot of great teams. So, I think Kansas, I think they beat Kansas City earlier in the year, but, I think Mahomes is just, he has the pathway to get to another Super Bowl because he's just a guy who he's not Brady in terms of like he don't have any pressure. He's good in fourth quarter, but Mahomes just plays that sandlot type of football where I'm not worried ever when they're down 15 or 14, 21 points. It's just because Mahomes can get it in any second. Like, he can get a chunk play. He can make a crazy throw. He's got crazy weapons. Travis Kelce this might be controversial, but Travis Kelce is getting to a level where he might be the greatest tight end of all time. He's getting there. Yeah. I know Gronk, people will say that, whoever you want to, you talk about Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp, whoever. He's getting up there, dude, because he's putting up video game numbers. And I know a lot of it's with Mahomes, but all these guys have had great quarterbacks throwing them the ball to get these numbers outside of maybe Tony Gonzalez. Like, he's just the ultimate threat. He's always open in the middle of the field. He uses his body really well to shield defenders. Mm-hmm. He's just another basically big receiver. So just watching last week and how I know the Steelers shouldn't have been there, but, man, it just obliterated them. And that says something for a team that, a lot of people have been up and down because they lost more than usual. Mahomes still had a really good year in terms of stats. And, it's just after seeing them play last week, I think I'm a little swayed. Like, okay, I think Kansas City's got their thing under control and they're back on their path to get into another Super Bowl. So I will be interested to see how Cincinnati and Tennessee, though. That's probably the one game I'm interested in the most, just with Derrick Henry at the variable. Because Cincinnati, of course, has the whole we're just playing to be playing, and they're a good future team. You know, the divisional round playoffs will be something to watch. After that, it will be the conference championships and then eventually the Super Bowl. So we will be doing podcasts talking about all the games for this upcoming weekend and things of that nature. Basketball season is in full swing. We're around the halfway mark, a little bit over the halfway mark. Trade deadline's coming up in a few weeks. All-Star games. So we're going to be getting into, I guess, talking about potential games and seeding in the playoffs and the play-in and things like that, which teams need to do this and that to maybe improve their standings for playoff seeding. So we're going to be talking about that in the next couple of episodes. Make sure you guys subscribe to us on bullheaded_pod. Make sure you look at our Instagram, our Twitter, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. And if there's any podcast apps that you guys want to listen to us on, shoot me a comment, DM on Instagram, and I'll be able to get back to you and see if we can get on there. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we're out.